I'm just saying that this in itself kind of explains why we need to get rid of the caucus.
Right,
If if the individuals who are speaking are having a hard time getting across to those of us who are actually involved and want to learn about it, if we're confused, then that in itself lets you know that
Well,
the caucus.
can I say this? Can I say this? Okay. Let's call this what it is. The Democratic Party is an organization, okay? They are an organization. You're free to join this organization if you vote in a primary. That's how you become a member of this party, okay? We each, in each senatorial district, we elect 2 people to sit on the rules committee, and we set these rules up. And you have precinct chairmen that are elected to be your precinct chairman. It is their responsibility to educate the people in the precinct about the process. Our process is a reward system. It's an activist reward system that says that if you come to meetings, if you get out the vote, then you can be one of those 6 delegates or one of those 26 delegates. So it's not something that you can come in and participate in the night of the convention.
And understand it all.
And understand it all, because it's a process. It's just like what you have to go through if you want to be a Greek. You gotta go through this, you gotta go to a phase, you gotta go through this. And I think that that's where everybody is confused. It's not something that can be described in a soundbite. Go ahead.
So, as per your explanation, those 128 delegates are selected based on the delegate election at the precinct convention.
Okay, they're allotted, they're distributed. And I think that that's where I had a real problem with the media and with the campaigns. And I think that David Van Oss got this very correctly when he described those different deals. Is that you had the campaign describing it one way, you had the media describing it another way, and you had the party people, myself and Van Oss, we were just going around, this is not the way it goes. And we were just taking over.
We were all trying to say it's really not that complicated.
And you know what, let me tell you something, you can take us.
Oh, it is very complicated.
No, it isn't.
It's
unacceptable.
She's not a question, she has to tell us.
But from what I understand is that 65% of the delegates, total delegates that Texas has that goes to the National Convention are apportioned based on the primary result. And 35 or 30% are based on what is the result of the precinct convention.
Right.
Okay, no, not really, the process starts there.
That's
Right?
It's a state convention, it's a state convention.
Still proves the point.
Ma'am.
Conventions have to
Ma'am. Part of the problem was the national staff of the presidential campaigns saying that when you go to the precinct convention and vote, you're not voting for either candidate at the precinct convention. At the precinct convention, you are voting on who the voters are going to be. The voters are the delegates to the state convention. The precinct convention is the first step of a 3-step process of determining who the voters are going to be, which is the delegates at the state convention.
I understand. I understand what you're saying right now. But that's not entirely true, because those additional 30% of the delegates are actually elected only because of the turnout in the precinct convention.
That's true.
Based on the signings.
That's correct.
And the apportionment.
It's
Correct.
the
No,
at-large.
actually, excuse
She's
me.
wrestling with the at-large.
Okay, let's do this. Let's, for the purposes of today, let's stay focused on the 126 process.
No.
And then we can schedule. No, because we're not gonna have time. No.
Let's go back to it, Sandra.
Okay.
Let's vote. Due to this problem, we know how the caucus is. We just vote to trash the caucus or not. And then
Well, let me tell you what I think all of you should do, if that's what you want. The Texas Democratic Party has a survey. Go online. Answer.
I did.
Good. Okay, next thing you need to do is go contact me. Go talk to Royce West. Go talk to every
Walk the
single
yellow
member on that task force and give them your opinion. It is your party.
Okay, what we'd like to ask everyone to do is, excuse me, because we're losing control of this, okay? We're losing control of this, and we're losing control of this, and what we'd like to do, I'm gonna acknowledge you here. We're gonna give everybody an opportunity to vote, but we're gonna do it a little different. We're gonna dissect it. I've written the notes based on all the conversation, and we're gonna vote 4 different times on this. Okay, just hold on, we're gonna dissect it. Yes, Karen.
Chairwoman, would it be possible to facilitate those of us who have come to speak, to allow us to speak without question?
Okay, and
because we have stories, qualifications, and positions, and we need to speak.
Okay, let me do this. Let me stop. What we did, just to show you how we can do this. What I did was I took the notes and wrote down there were 4 different things in her conversation, in her presentation. Number 1, she talked about the permanent chair. Okay, we will vote on whether or not we should change the rules to define that whoever is the permanent chair has to have participated. We'll come up with some credentials. We won't decide what the credentials are now, but we will say that in order to be the chair, it may be that you have to have had mandatory training to run for chair. The sign-in sheets. We'll talk about, do we need to change the ballot security, the security of the sign-in sheets. Also to the percentage of the precinct. Whether or not we should go by the voter turnout on the allotment or whether or not it should be by the sign-in sheets. And also on the voter education. So there were 4 things that came out of that, and we'll vote on each of those. But if we follow your suggestion, we'll let everybody speak, and I'll do the same thing, take down notes of what we saw needed to be changed and how it needed to be changed, and then we'll vote at that time. Because everybody may have the same.
Okay, let's look at this.
Yes,
Point of order.
Okay, it's possibly a point of order. I mean, okay, truth in advertising here. You promised us that we'd get a whole panel of people who were going to say basically this needs to change. You said you were going to offer up a defense of it. We haven't heard that. No,
not yet.
We haven't gotten there yet.
And before you take a vote, it seems to me that everybody needs to hear your best defense.
I think that needs to be at the very
It's not
last.
Yeah,
The vote will be at the very last.
what we're going to do is, we've decided now that instead of voting after each speaker, that we're going to vote at the end. We're going to go ahead and let the speakers get up and talk. We're going to be taking notes, and then we're going to get, excuse me, Harry, go ahead and come up. But what I'd like to do right quickly is the note going around for the luncheon. It's done? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and order lunch. We're going to let Harriet speak and all the speakers come up. I've heard all of their stories. And point of order.